Thanksgiving has always felt like a costume party I never asked to attend. Not the fun kind with music and candy, more like the kind where everyone is forced into matching sweaters, told to smile for photos, and expected to pretend the cracks in the walls are just decorative. In my family, love wasn't something you poured freely. It was something you measured out like rations. A pat on the head here, a good job there, a quick hug for show, usually when relatives were watching. And if you were unlucky enough to be the kid who didn't demand attention, you learned early that quiet didn't mean easy to love. It meant easy to ignore. My name is Eli, I'm 19. Or at least, I was 19 with a plan. I was supposed to be a first-year college student this fall, living in a dorm room that smelled like cheap detergent and instant noodles, learning how to build prosthetic components in a biomedical lab, and finally breathing in a life that belonged to me. Instead, I'm back in my childhood bedroom, staring at the same old ceiling fan, listening to my parents laugh downstairs while my sister's kids scream through the hallway like they own the house. Which, in a way, they do, because my parents built this entire world around my sister. Her name is Marissa. She's 25. In our family, she's not just the favorite. She's the headline, the main character, the person everyone revolves around, the person whose chaos becomes a season of life, whose mistakes become brave choices, whose bad decisions become a journey. Growing up, Marissa was the golden child in the most exhausting way. Straight A's in middle school, then just enough drama in high school to keep everyone emotionally invested. Cheer captain, homecoming court, the kind of girl who could cry on command and make adults feel guilty for even thinking she might be wrong. I was the opposite. Not shy, not awkward, just observant. Quiet in the way you get when you've spent years watching how the game is played and realizing you were never given a jersey. Marissa dropped out of community college after one semester because she didn't feel aligned with the energy. 2 months later, she was pregnant by a guy named Brent who worked nights at a vape shop and had a tattoo of a wolf on his neck that looked like it was melting. My parents called it a miracle. I called it Marissa being Marissa. Now she has 3 kids. The oldest is 6, the twins are 3, and her entire life is 10 minutes from my parents' house. Close enough that they treat her like a satellite that must always be kept in orbit. And her kids, they're treated like royalty. Every birthday party is a production. Every school event is a family emergency. Every tantrum is handled with gentle voices and snack bribes and the kind of patience I didn't know existed when I was their age. If Marissa calls, my mom answers. If Marissa needs help, my dad becomes a superhero. If Marissa wants something, the entire family shifts. And if I want something, I get told to be realistic, to be patient, to not be difficult, to understand that my sister needs more right now. It was like that for as long as I can remember. Family vacations weren't about what we wanted, they were about what Marissa could tolerate. Holidays weren't about tradition, they were about Marissa's schedule. Arguments weren't about fairness, they were about keeping Marissa from getting upset. And if she did get upset, the rest of us paid for it. When I was 15, I won a regional science competition. Not a huge one, but real. I stayed up for weeks building a prototype sensor that could detect certain chemical changes in water samples, something I thought was genuinely cool. My parents congratulated me in the kitchen while my mom was loading the dishwasher. Nice, she said without looking up. Just don't get obsessed with that stuff. You don't want to burn out. 2 days later, Marissa got a Most Spirited award at cheer camp. My parents threw her a dinner party. They invited my aunt and uncle. They ordered a cake. They took photos like she'd just been accepted into NASA. That was the kind of family I grew up in. You learn to swallow the weirdness. You learn to smile at the table. You learn to keep your hopes small because big hopes are dangerous when your family treats them like a joke. But I still tried because there was one person in my life who didn't treat me like background noise. My grandfather. His name was Hank, my mom's dad. Retired union welder, hands like sandpaper, a face that looked carved out of oak. The kind of man who didn't talk much, but when he did, you listened because he didn't waste words. He lived on the edge of town in a small house that smelled like coffee and motor oil. His garage was a museum of tools, old parts, and quiet competence. When I was a kid, I spent more time in that garage than I did anywhere else. He taught me how to fix things, not just engines or lawnmowers, though we did plenty of that. He taught me how to look at a problem and not panic, how to break it down, how to test, adjust, try again, how to take failure personally, but not permanently. And when I was 16, during a summer cookout, he pulled me aside while everyone else was fighting over potato salad and yelling about football. He handed me a warm soda and said, very casually, like he was telling me the weather, "I started a fund for you, been putting money in it since you were born." I froze. "What?" I whispered. He nodded once. "College fund for you, not your sister, not your parents, you." I remember gripping that soda can like it was made of gold. "Don't tell him yet," he added. "Just know it's there when you need it." It was the first time I felt like my future wasn't just a fantasy I was building alone. So I worked harder. I got accepted into a solid university, not Ivy League, but good. Strong biomedical engineering program, decent research facilities, internships, the whole deal. It was my ticket out. And the only way it was possible was Grandpa Hank's fund. So when I got accepted, I finally told my parents about it. My mom nodded like I'd told her the neighbor got a new mailbox. That's sweet of your grandfather, she said. My dad gave a grunt that could have meant anything. I thought that was the end of it. A week later, Grandpa called me. His voice sounded irritated in that quiet way he had when he was trying not to swear. They moved it to a custodial setup, he said. Joint account. Your parents' names added. I felt a flicker of unease. Why? I asked. Legal formality, he muttered. They won't touch it. He said it like he was trying to convince himself. I didn't know what to say, so I chose trust, because why wouldn't I trust my parents with my future? Summer passed in a blur of shifts and paperwork. Every time I asked about tuition, my mom said she was sorting it out. Every time I asked if the payment cleared, my dad told me to stop stressing. Just be patient, Eli, my mom said. It'll work out. I believed them. Orientation week came and I still hadn't paid a dime. I started emailing the registrar's office, calling financial aid, refreshing portals like a man trying to reload his life into existence. Then, on a random Tuesday morning, I got an email that made my stomach drop so hard I thought I might actually throw up. Withdrawn due to non-payment. I stared at the screen until the words stopped looking like English. Then I marched downstairs, laptop in my hands, heart pounding. I showed it to my mom in the kitchen. She didn't flinch, not even a little. She just spooned yogurt into a bowl and sighed like I'd reminded her to buy paper towels. Oh honey, she said. Yeah, about that. We needed to have a talk. My blood went cold. What do you mean? I asked. She set the bowl down slowly and gave me that look like I was the one being unreasonable. Marissa's kids needed help, she said. They're struggling. The oldest needs therapy and the twins are in daycare and my brain couldn't process it fast enough. You used the fund, I whispered. We did what was best for the family, she replied, calm as glass. From the living room, my dad chimed in without looking away from the TV. It's not like you were going anywhere, kid. Be real. College isn't for everyone. That sentence didn't even feel like it belonged to me, like I was watching a movie where someone else's life was getting ruined. I stood there with my laptop, my hands shaking, and the only thing I could think was, they didn't even ask. They didn't even warn me. They just took it. When I asked if there was any money left, my mom shrugged. It's gone, she said. But you'll be fine. You can work, maybe do community college later. Later, a word my family used like a sedative. I went upstairs and didn't leave my room for 2 days. I didn't eat much, didn't sleep, didn't tell anyone. I didn't even tell Grandpa Hank because I was ashamed and because I was scared he'd side with them. Scared he'd do what my parents always did, wrap betrayal in a bow and call it family first. Then Thanksgiving arrived. I almost didn't go. I just started working at a hardware store, stocking shelves, hauling boxes, smiling at customers who asked where the light bulbs were while my entire chest felt hollow. But Grandpa called me. He said he'd made apple pie, the kind he used to make when I was little. The kind where the crust is too thick and the cinnamon is heavy and you don't care because it tastes like being safe. I saved you a piece, he said, and something in me couldn't say no, so I went. I dressed nice, brought sparkling cider like a polite guest, smiled when Marissa's kids climbed over furniture like sugar-powered gremlins. I hugged my mom, shook my dad's hand, nodded at Marissa and her dead-eyed husband Brent, who looked like he hadn't slept since 2019. I helped set the table. Then we sat down. Grandpa Hank sat at the far end, carving the turkey like an old king overseeing a feast. His face was calm, but his eyes always seemed to miss nothing. Marissa talked non-stop about her kids, milestones, tantrums, cute things they said, the entire performance of motherhood like a highlight reel. My parents fawned over every word. I kept my head down, passed plates, chewed quietly, and tried to pretend my life wasn't a smoking crater. And then my mom did it, like she couldn't help herself, like she needed the room to hear her justify it. She looked straight at me, spooning gravy onto mashed potatoes, and said, "We used Eli's college fund to help Marissa's kids. They needed it more." The words didn't even sound real. I froze. My dad snorted and added, "It's not like he was going anywhere." That was when Grandpa Hank's hand paused, just for a second. He slowly set the carving knife down. His face didn't change, but something in the air did. The temperature shifted, the room got tight. He pushed his chair back with a scrape against the tile and stood up. Fork stopped. Even the kids quieted like animals sensing thunder. Grandpa didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. "Funny," he said, calm as stone, "because I left that money in Eli's name." Silence. My mom blinked like she'd been slapped. My dad stared at his plate like peas might save him. Marissa's jaw twitched. I stared down at my food, trying to decide if I was going to cry or laugh. Grandpa wasn't done. He leaned forward, palms on the table, gaze locked on my parents like he was reading an open book he'd already memorized. "How much of that account did you see, Eli?" he asked. My throat was dry. "I never got access," I managed. "They said they were working on it." Grandpa's jaw tightened. "And your tuition?" he asked, voice low. "Withdrawn," I said. "Non-payment." My mom tried to laugh, one of those nervous, control-grabbing laughs. "Dad, come on," she said. "Don't make this a whole thing. It was just sitting there, and Marissa needed help. The kids." "Stop," Grandpa said. One word. My mom shut up like someone had flipped a switch. Grandpa looked at her, then my dad. "I named that fund after him," he said. "Been in his name since the day he was born. I only added you two for legal reasons. Never thought I'd have to babysit grown adults." Marissa finally spoke. "Can we not do this now?" she said, voice syrupy. "It's Thanksgiving." Then she turned to me like we were teammates. "And Eli, seriously, you don't even like college. You told me last year you weren't sure about going." "That's not what I said," I replied quietly. Marissa blinked, surprised I'd spoken. "I said I wasn't sure where I wanted to go," I continued, "but I was going." My dad leaned back like this was beneath him. "Look, it's done," he said. "The money's gone. What were we supposed to do? Let those kids suffer while he plays scientist?" There it was, the final translation of my life in their eyes. My dreams were a hobby. My future was optional. Grandpa sat back down slowly, his plate untouched. He didn't say another word the rest of the night. Neither did I. The weeks after Thanksgiving were the loneliest of my life. Grandpa went quiet too. Not cold, just busy. When I called, he answered in short phrases. "Working on something," he'd say. "Be patient." At home, everything got colder. My parents acted like I was the problem now, like I was punishing them for being generous people. "You're sulking," my mom snapped one afternoon when I didn't answer her about dinner. "I'm thinking," I said. "You're being ungrateful," she shot back. I didn't respond because if I opened my mouth, I didn't know what would come out. Marissa, of course, acted like nothing happened. She texted me memes like we were friends, TikToks about family drama with laughing emojis. One day she asked if I could help set up her kids' Christmas gifts. I didn't reply. Then the week before Christmas, Grandpa called. "Come by," he said, alone. His house felt quieter than I remembered, like the walls themselves were listening. He poured coffee into an old mug, sat me at the kitchen table like he used to when I was 10 and learning to patch a bike tire, and slid a folder across to me. "Read it," he said. Inside were photocopies of bank statements, transaction logs, printed account documents. I flipped through them, heart pounding. There were deposits going back nearly 2 decades, monthly, steady. Then one sudden brutal withdrawal, $64,300. And in the memo line, Marissa R. Childcare, therapy. My hands started shaking. "I didn't even know they could do this," I said. "They shouldn't have been able to," Grandpa muttered. "But the way it was set up, they had authority while you were a minor." I looked up, dizzy. "But I'm 18 now." Grandpa tapped a page. "Your mother requested the disbursement 2 weeks after your 18th birthday," he said. "Filed it as medical expense related, claimed you approved it." My stomach lurched. "That's illegal," I whispered. "It's gray," he said, voice tight. "But what isn't gray is the lying." Then he pulled out one final paper, a letter, a copy, with my name on it, and a signature that looked like someone had tried to imitate mine after watching me sign a receipt once. "Your mom forged it," Grandpa said, flatly. "Told them you approved." I felt like I might throw up. "They always do this," I said, voice cracking. "They always say it's for the family, but it's really just for Marissa. I don't matter." Grandpa stared at me hard. "You matter to me," he said. "You always have." Then he slid a key across the table. "What's this?" I asked. "Garage," he said. "Red toolbox, bottom drawer. There's an envelope." That night, I went to his garage. The envelope was exactly where he said. Inside was a handwritten note. "If you ever need to disappear for a while, use this." And folded inside it was a check for $5,000, no strings. Below it, a short list of contacts and opportunities, apprenticeships, internships, remote programs, a name at a small startup in Oregon that apparently owed Grandpa a favor. I sat on the garage floor for a long time, reading that note until the words blurred. But the truth was, I didn't want to disappear. I wanted to fight. Christmas was the next storm. I should have stayed home. Ghosted everyone. Protected my sanity. But something in me needed to see it one more time. Like I needed the final proof. The last nail. Marissa arrived in a brand new SUV with temporary tags. Her kids were wearing matching designer outfits like tiny catalog models. They ran around screaming, ripping open presents while my mom filmed them like she was documenting a miracle. The tree was buried under boxes labeled for Marissa and the kids. I got one gift, a pair of socks. "Practical," my mom chirped. "You said you were working now," my dad added. "You'll need those." I stared at the socks, then at the mountain of gifts, and something inside me didn't break. It hardened. I excused myself to the kitchen and called Grandpa. He answered on the second ring. "You ready?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "Let's do it." The week after Christmas, I became a ghost in my own house. I nodded when spoken to. I helped when asked. I even babysat Marissa's twins one afternoon while she took what she called a mental health break, which mostly involved her sitting in her car scrolling social media in the driveway. But underneath that calm, I was planning, meeting Grandpa's attorney, gathering documents, saving screenshots, learning the difference between fury and strategy. New Year's Eve came and it felt poetic in the worst way, like rock bottom wearing party glitter. I lay in bed that night staring at my ceiling fan, hearing fireworks in the distance, and for the first time, the doubts started to poison me. Maybe they were right, maybe I was too soft, maybe I wasn't going anywhere. And then, somewhere in that silence, I felt something shift. Pain does that. When people rip your foundation away, you either crumble or you build something new. So I started building, quietly. On nights I wasn't working, I went to Grandpa's garage. He taught me things, real things, wiring, plumbing, soldering, how to read blueprints, how to look at a machine and see the logic behind it. And when I messed up, he never yelled. He just nodded and said, "Try again." It was the first time in months I didn't feel broken. I started saving money too, a little at a time. No takeout, no subscriptions. I sold old games and tech. Every dollar went into a locked metal cash box Grandpa gave me. He called it seed money. "Doesn't matter if it's small," he said. "What matters is you grow it." In January, I stumbled onto an online repair community where people posted videos of broken appliances. appliances, dishwashers grinding, vacuums dying, air fryers smoking like dragons. An idea clicked. I borrowed Grandpa's old camcorder, still ran on tape, and started filming myself fixing junk appliances I found on the curb. No face, no flashy intro, just my hands, my tools, and my voice explaining what I was doing. I uploaded the first video under the name Quiet Fix Eli. It got 12 views. I didn't care. I made another, then another. By February, I had 10 videos. Most barely cracked 50 views. Then one hit, a dishwasher repair video, simple, clean, step by step, shot up to 4,000 views in a day. I didn't sleep that night, not because I was famous, because it was the first time in months I felt like I existed outside my family's shadow. I learned basic editing, added subtitles, improved lighting with a cheap clamp lamp. My first payout was $83. It felt like a miracle. Meanwhile, my parents barely spoke to me unless they needed something. My mom said I was obsessed with Grandpa. My dad said I should grow up and move on. Marissa stayed chirpy and clueless. "You still mad about the college thing?" she asked once, like she was talking about a spilled drink. I said nothing, but I remembered everything. By April, my channel had a few thousand subscribers. I partnered with a small affiliate company selling repair kits. Suddenly, I was making a couple $100 a month. Not huge, but compared to where I'd been, it was gold. I reinvested it. Better tools, a used laptop, a real microphone. I started freelancing online too, writing simple repair guides, drawing diagrams, editing videos for other small creators. And in the middle of that, Grandpa and I started sketching something bigger. A subscription kit, basic tools, instructions, QR code to an unlisted tutorial video I'd film each month. We called it Patch Kit. We built 3 prototypes by hand. Grandpa looked at the boxes lined up on his workbench like they were treasure. "Best idea I've heard in 20 years, he said. For the first time, I started to believe him. Then came the breaking point. Not some huge explosion, something small. Isn't it always? One Sunday in May, I came home from a shift and noticed my metal cash box was missing. I tore my room apart, checked every drawer, every corner, under the bed, behind the dresser. Nothing. I walked downstairs and found my mom folding laundry like it was a normal day. "Have you seen my metal box?" I asked. She didn't blink. "Oh, that junky thing," she said. "I gave it to your dad. Thought it was part of your grandpa's scrap." My chest went tight. "There was money in there," I said. She frowned like I'd spoken nonsense. "What kind of money?" "My money," I said. "I earned it." She rolled her eyes. "Oh, please, Eli, you live here rent-free. Don't act like you're paying utilities." "It was mine," I said, voice low. "Enough," she snapped. "Brent got laid off again. Marissa needed help. Be part of the family for once." That was the exact moment something inside me didn't shatter. It locked. Not rage, not hysteria, clarity. I nodded once, turned around, walked out the front door, and went straight to Grandpa's. When I told him what happened, he didn't look surprised. He just sighed, handed me a cold soda, and said, "You ready to go nuclear?" "Yes," I said. The next day, I quit the hardware store. 2 days later, I posted a video titled, "How I Turned $300 Worth of Tools into a Life." It went semi-viral. By June, I hit 12,000 subscribers. Patch Kit was ready for a soft launch, and Grandpa finally told me his full plan. It was bold, risky, and ours. He'd been working behind the scenes with an attorney, quietly restructuring trusts, gathering evidence, preparing legal steps. He'd even filed a discreet report about the forged disbursement tied to my name. "Timing is everything," he told me. "Don't let him see you coming." So I spent June acting like nothing was happening, smiling, nodding, being helpful, playing the role they wanted me to play, the quiet son with a hobby channel. Meanwhile, I set up a P.O. box, opened a business account, filed paperwork for an LLC. My parents didn't notice. They were too busy with Marissa's drama. In July, I launched Patch Kit. No ads, no big announcement, just a post on my channel and a mention in a couple communities. I had 50 boxes. They sold out in 30 hours. 30 hours. People loved it. By the end of the month, hundreds were on the wait list. And suddenly, I wasn't just Eli who didn't go to college. I was Eli who built something. Around the same time, I reached out to someone I knew from high school, Leo, a kid who was always starting clubs and talking about startups. We met for coffee. I showed him sketches. His eyes widened. "Dude," he said, "this isn't small. This could actually scale." Within a week, we were brainstorming how to turn Patch Kit into a full platform. Digital courses, memberships, even an app that could guide people through repairs with AR overlays. Leo brought in his cousin, Jessa, who knew branding. I found a developer online who went by Sold a Ghost and didn't care about my family drama, just wanted to build something cool. Suddenly, I had a team. Meanwhile, Grandpa started showing up to family events wearing a grin that made my mother visibly nervous. At a 4th of July picnic, he wore a shirt that said, "Ask me about my favorite grandkid," with an arrow pointing straight at me. My parents laughed awkwardly. Marissa looked confused. Grandpa didn't care. Then one day he casually announced, "I'm rewriting my will." My mom laughed too loudly. "You don't need to to worry about that, Dad, she said. We're not after your money, Grandpa smiled. Didn't say you were, he replied. But his eyes said, you sure act like it. By August, my channel hit 50,000 subscribers. Patch Kit had hundreds of active monthly users. The app prototype was in beta, and my mom was starting to sense the ground shifting. One morning, she cornered me in the kitchen while I ate cereal. I feel like you're hiding something, she said. I looked up. Like what? I don't know, she snapped. You're always out. You and your grandfather whisper, and you've been smug. Smug? I repeated. Yes, she said. Like you're waiting for something. I shrugged. I guess I'm just focused. Her eyes narrowed. Are you talking to lawyers? Nope, I said truthfully. She didn't like my tone, and for once, I didn't care. Because her worry wasn't about me, it was about control, and she was losing it. Then, like clockwork, Marissa asked Grandpa for more money. At a family dinner, she brought it up sweetly in front of everyone, like she was requesting a refill. Dad, she said, blinking innocently, you've been helping Eli so much. I was hoping maybe you could help us with rent this month. Grandpa didn't even let her finish. No, he said. Everyone froze. I'm sorry, Marissa whispered. No, Grandpa repeated, calm as ever. But you took $64,000 from Eli's future and didn't even say thank you. You don't get to ask for more. My mom jumped in fast. Dad, that was for the good of the family. No, Grandpa said. It was for the convenience of yours. Then Grandpa turned to me. Eli, he said. Want to tell them your news? I stood up, heart steady. Actually, I said, I got accepted into a business accelerator program. Competitive. They're funding development and providing legal support. I'm moving out next week. My mom looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. My dad went silent. Marissa blinked rapidly like her brain couldn't process a reality where I wasn't trapped. I start pitching to investors in September, I added, and Patch Kit's already profitable. The silence in that room was better than any speech. That night, Grandpa handed me an envelope. Inside was a key. To your new place, he said. I stared. I thought the program provided housing. It does, he said, but I bought you something extra. What? A little duplex, he said. Fixer-upper, good bones, in your name. I just looked at him. Why? I whispered. He smiled. Small, proud. Because they forgot who you were, he said. But I never did. The next few weeks were a blur. Packing, contracts, app updates, moving into a new city surrounded by mentors and ambition. My channel hit 100,000 subscribers. Patch Kit had its first $10,000 month. And back home, the walls were closing in. In late September, I got the call. A woman from the Education Fund Oversight Office spoke clearly, professionally. Our investigation into the disputed withdrawal is complete, she said. I didn't speak. I just listened. We've confirmed the signature was forged and the disbursement was requested under false pretenses, she continued. The matter is being referred to the district attorney. My throat tightened. And as the original beneficiary, she added, you are entitled to restitution. We are coordinating with the account's overseer, Mr. Hank Lowell. My grandfather. I didn't smile. Not yet, but inside, something whispered. Checkmate is near. I didn't call my parents. Why would I? They hadn't checked on me once since I left. Not a text, not a call, not even a fake comment under one of my videos. But Marissa reached out first. A DM. A selfie of her crying. I'm sorry things got weird, it read. I miss you. Can we talk? I didn't reply. 2 days later, my mom called. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was shaky and rushed. Eli, we heard something strange. Something about an investigation. Please call me back. There's no reason to make this legal. I forwarded the voicemail to Grandpa. He laughed so hard he had to sit down. A week later, my parents were served. I wasn't there to see it, but Grandpa gave me the play-by-play like it was the most satisfying movie he'd ever watched. My mom opened the door in her robe expecting a package. Instead, she got 2 manila envelopes. One from the DA regarding potential charges for financial misrepresentation and fraud. The other, my civil suit for damages, breach of fiduciary duty, and restitution. The best part? The letterhead, Eli Lowell, founder, Patch Kit LLC. I wasn't the quiet son anymore. I was the plaintiff. They called, texted, emailed, begged. I didn't respond once. Everything went through my attorney. Camden, sharp and fearless, the type who hated financial abuse on principle. Let them squirm, she told me, and they did. They tried to claim it was a misunderstanding. They tried to call it family necessity. They tried to paint me as selfish. But when the forged signature was compared to my real one, there was nothing left to argue. The financial institution didn't want bad press. They offered a fast settlement. Restitution plus penalties came through. Over $72,000. By then, I didn't even need it, so I used it publicly. I donated half to a nonprofit that funded vocational education and apprenticeships for low-income teens. The other half went into scaling Patch Kit across multiple states, better manufacturing, better shipping, scholarships for schools to get free kits. I made a video about it. No names, no family details, just my hands, my voice, and the quiet truth. And at the end of the video, I said, sometimes the people who should believe in you the most don't. That hurts, but if you build long enough in silence, they'll have no choice but to watch. That video hit over 1 million views reviews in a week. Brand deals followed. Podcast invites. A school district asking if I'd help build a repair curriculum for students. It felt surreal, like I'd stepped into the life I was supposed to have all along. Thanksgiving came around again. Grandpa invited me over for a small dinner. Just us, a few of his friends, and my team from Patch Kit. No forced smiles. No golden child worship. Just warmth. After dessert, Grandpa pulled out a small velvet box. Inside was a silver ring. Old but polished. It was my father's, he said. He gave it to me when I built my first shop. Said it wasn't about money, it was about making something. He looked at me. And you, Eli, you made something. I slipped the ring on. It fit perfectly. Back home, the fallout wasn't pretty. The criminal charges didn't fully stick. First offense, legal technicalities, plea deals, the usual mess. But the public record stayed. My dad quietly stepped down from a local board position. My mom stopped showing up at her little social clubs. Marissa lost her part-time job at a daycare when people recognized her name from the local news. And Grandpa rewrote his will. He made it official, clean, public. He left a copy on their doorstep. Everything, his house, his land, his savings, was going to me. Not to punish them, he told me, to protect me. But I won't lie. It felt good. I haven't spoken to my parents since. They still try every few months. Birthday messages, we're proud of you, comments from burner accounts, forwarded articles about forgiveness. I don't engage. Not out of spite, out of peace. Because I learned something important. Revenge doesn't have to be loud. Sometimes it's just living so fully, so freely, that the people who try to shrink you have to watch you shine from a distance they can never cross. Now, every time I fix something, whether it's a busted motor or a broken belief, I remember the version of me they tried to convince me I'd always be. The quiet kid, the spare part, the one not going anywhere. And I smile, because they were wrong. I wasn't going nowhere. I was going everywhere. Turns out I didn't need their map. I built my own.